So my name is Kristina Bramwell. I'm a physiotherapist in the department here at the HSA. My presentation is diabetes management through physical activity and exercise. So this is another adjunct to your lifestyle changes along with diet, appropriate medication, and other medical management. So a little bit of housekeeping first. I want to define physical activity. So physical activity is any activity that gets you moving or gets your muscles to do some work, okay? So physical activity should be done daily, okay? Physical activity is not exercise, okay? Because it's anything that gets you moving, gets you up, heart rate going, increased breathing, not necessarily exercise. So you should be engaging in some type of physical activity every day, okay? And this can be small, simple things because, again, we're trying to create a lasting lifestyle change. So just little small increases in physical activity can actually go a long way. And then when your body starts feeling better, that will go towards exercise becoming a true lasting part of your lifestyle change as well. So some examples of physical exercise are things like housework, gardening, walking around shops, okay? So things that you do anyway, all right? So like, for example, there's a theme called Get Up and Move, which is encouraging children to go outside and play a little bit every day versus things like watching TV, playing video games, because those aren't physical activities, okay? I mean, technically, you're breathing, so your lungs are working, your thumbs might be moving under control, but that's not really physical activity, okay? So get up and move, something that gets you moving. Okay, so just to reiterate, physical activity does not equal exercise, okay? They're technically two separate concepts, but they do have similar health benefits, okay? So we encourage the daily physical activity, again, because let's say you have a goal that you're going to exercise 3 times a week, and let's say your activity is something like walking outside, but today's a rainy day, so maybe that might not get done. However, if you're physically active in your daily life, things like you're taking the stairs instead of the elevator, you're parking far in the parking lot and walking in versus strolling and getting that close parking space. So if you're doing those physical activities daily, when you do skip your exercise for whatever reason, it's not going to be as detrimental. Okay, so a few keys to success, because anything you do, we want it to be successful because we are trying to make a long-lasting lifestyle change for your long-term health. So physical activities, as I said, should be performed daily, okay? And think about things that are person and lifestyle specific, okay? Because my life is different from everybody else's life in here, so what works as a good daily physical activity for me might not be a good one for someone else in here. So you really have to stop and think where you can make these little changes to make yourself a little bit more active. So based on our little cartoon in the corner, the little stick figure man is walking a dog. So my example is if you're a dog owner, okay? So there are a lot of people that don't walk their dogs. So if you have a dog, dogs are great workout partners. You could make a goal that you're going to walk your dog every day. Again, things might get in the way occasionally, but that can be your starting goal. You walk your dog every day versus just letting it out and letting it run around by itself. Or you could even aim for twice a day. Let's say you're going to walk it in the morning, you're going to go to work, you're going to come back, and you're going to do it again later. So that's 2 times that you got a little bit of physical activity in without it really seeming like work or a big effort. You could also play fetch with your dog, okay? So throw in a ball, throw in a chew toy, something like that. Again, it's not exercise. It's really going to get you sweaty and burn calories and make you drop pounds, but it is a physical activity, and it's better than not doing it. Again, I have bathed in your dog on it because I was trying to come up with 4, okay? And that may not seem like exercise, but depending on the size of your dog, it can be, okay? So bathe your dog weekly, take your dog to the beach, you know, bi-monthly. That might not be something that's conducive to doing more often, but again, that in itself is exercise. Getting it into the car, getting it there, controlling it on the beach, playing around, everything adds together to increase your heart rate, increase your respiratory rate, get your blood pumping, muscles moving. Okay, so as I said before, physical activity and exercise are not exactly the same thing, but they do have a lot of overlap. So the benefits that you would get from exercise, you are going to also get from an increase in physical activity, just on a slightly smaller scale. So a few of these benefits are improved mood, okay? When you do physical activity or when you exercise, you release endorphins, which make you feel good, okay? So getting started is the hardest part, and once you get going, you're gonna feel better and you're gonna want to, okay? Same thing, increases your energy. Again, those endorphins, and your heart's gonna be fitter, your lungs are gonna be fitter, your muscles are gonna be fitter, so you're gonna feel more energetic, because those little daily things that used to tire you out before aren't gonna be so tiring because you're a fitter person in general. You're gonna sleep better, because again, the fitter you are, your body's gonna really need those recovery times because you're doing more. So you're gonna sleep better automatically. It's gonna also aid in weight control, okay, because maintaining a healthy weight is a big part of managing diabetes, especially if you have type 2 diabetes. Plays a role in type 1 as well, but typically type 2 is associated with obesity, so keeping at a healthy weight is definitely gonna be beneficial. And physical activity also decreases the incidence of chronic diseases. So we're here to talk about diabetes, which usually is a chronic disease, but it can also decrease the risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, osteoarthritis, and other various diseases that would be classified as chronic. Okay, so now we're moving on to exercise. So exercise is a physical activity, but it is planned, structured, and performed to improve a specific part of fitness. So something you're doing to either increase your strength, increase your endurance, increase your flexibility, etc. So this is a statistic put out by the US government saying that the prescription for a healthy adult, exercise-wise, should be 75 to 150 minutes per week. That's the minimum. Okay, so that breaks down to an hour to somewhere, nice round number, 1 to 3 hours per week is their minimum for health. Obviously, more is better and can only be beneficial, but minimum. And obviously this should be split as necessary, because typically we've found that if you do, say, 3 hours of exercise one day and then nothing for the rest of the week, typically doesn't have as good results as if you kind of split it and you're gonna do an hour, say, 3 times a week or something like that. But those are actually research statistics that have been put out, but again, like I said, those are minimum numbers. Okay, so a balanced exercise program should include cardiovascular training and it should include strength training. Both of them are beneficial to be balanced, and both of them impact slightly different areas of the body. So cardiovascular training is some type of exercise that you're doing that's going to increase your body's need for oxygen. So it's strengthening your cardiorespiratory system. So cardio is heart, respiratory is lungs, okay? They work together to oxygenate the body. So some type of exercise that is going to increase your need for oxygen. So you should be getting slightly breathless, respiratory rate should go up, heart rate should go up. Both of those things should increase if you're exercising. So the benefits that this has for a diabetic are, it's going to lower your blood glucose, and blood pressure, and it's also going to improve your cholesterol levels. And then the other half of our program, the strength training, is the use of resistance to increase muscle contractions. By increasing a muscle contraction, you're going to promote strength, you're going to promote endurance, and you're going to increase muscle size. You know, that's obviously dependent on how much you do. Benefits for a diabetic are your muscles are going to be more sensitive to insulin when they're stronger and have better endurance, and stronger, bigger, more functional muscles are going to promote strong joints, stronger bones as well. Because diabetes is also associated with other comorbidities, okay? So typically, I mean, there are some people that just have diabetes and maybe no other disease or health issue, but typically it walks hand in hand with a couple other conditions. So having strong joints and strong bones, strong muscles is just going to improve your general health and also impact these other key factors. Okay. So, I want to touch on low impact exercise. So, the definition of a low impact exercise is an exercise that doesn't put very much stress on your joints. So, just based on that definition, exercises that don't put stress on your joints would include things, well, let's talk about what it would exclude, okay? So nothing with any jumping, okay? Because obviously if you're raising your body weight in the air and you're coming back down on your joints, that is a lot of impact on your joints. Nothing with jumping can be considered a low impact exercise. Nothing with a high risk of falling, nothing with flying objects, so something say like tennis wouldn't be low impact, racquetball wouldn't be low impact. Those are the only two ones that are coming to my mind right now, but no jumping, no hard, fast movements, nothing with flying equipment. So this is advantageous for people with diabetes for numerous reasons. As I said, typically diabetes is associated with other things. So, for example, we said that it was touched on in the talk previous to mine that diabetes can impact your blood vessels, okay? So that can result in high blood pressure. It can result in retinopathy, which is high pressure in the blood vessels in your eyes, okay? So if you have either of those issues, anything with any heavy lifting or any heavy straining is going to be negative for those conditions, okay? So what I mean by that is if you're lifting really heavy weights, okay, technically anytime you do any type of exercise you should be breathing throughout, but just the body has a way of, when you go to lift something heavy, a lot of times you stop your breath, increase pressure to almost, you think you're generating more force for the lift, but really holding your breath, increasing that pressure is only going to put more pressure on these damaged blood vessels. So that's something you don't want to do, okay? So we don't typically advocate someone with retinopathy and high blood pressure associated with diabetes to be lifting any really heavy weights that you may have a tendency to strain. Lifting weights is fine, but be careful with the weight of your weights. Also touched on previously, neuropathy is typically associated with diabetes. You have some nerve damage as well. So heavy exercise can cause ulcers, okay? Because if you think about it, let's say, think about running, okay? So running is not a low impact exercise because there are times when you're running that your both feet aren't in contact with the ground, if you think about it, okay? So if you're running, you're kind of like this, one foot is up, one foot is down, and then you're gonna transfer your body weight quickly and forcefully onto the other foot, and you're gonna switch. That's the motion of running, okay? So if you have insensate feet and you're not cognizant about checking your feet after exercise, could result in an ulcer. Not saying that there aren't diabetics that don't run, but we're just gonna illustrate activities that you would definitely have to be careful with, and typically low impact exercises are the safest way to go. Also, if you have any type of neuropathy or vascular disease, your body isn't able to thermoregulate as well. So thermoregulate means adjust your body temperature. So normal body temperature is usually around 98.5, give or take. Okay, so obviously when you exercise, your temperature is going to go up slightly because your muscles are working, you're breathing harder, so on and so forth. So someone with nerve damage and blood vessel damage isn't able to respond to that change quite as well. So again, very heavy exercise is going to promote that increase in temperature that the body might not tolerate as well. So again, just things you have to be careful with. But usually low impact exercises, you're not going to get up into those ranges where your body is going to have to thermoregulate quite as much. Okay, so some examples of good low impact exercises in both of the categories that we talked about. So cardiovascular training. Brisk walking is a great exercise because walking, you can walk for an appropriate amount of time to get a good workout in. You can walk for 20 or 30 minutes or more. whatever you're accustomed to, or if you have a goal that you want to get to, you can start at the 20 minutes, you can go forward, you can go for 45, you can go for 60, adjust yourself accordingly. You can get a very good workout with walking. And walking is considered a low impact exercise because even if it's brisk, even if it's a power walk, both of your feet are in contact with the ground. You're not getting into that single leg stance like you would with a jog or a run. And again, this can be outside or this can be inside on a treadmill, whatever environment you have to get it done in or whatever environment you prefer. So another cardiovascular exercise, low impact, would be bicycling or stationary cycling. Because again, you're getting a workout, but your feet aren't in contact with the ground. So you're using your body weight, but your full body weight isn't down through your legs, okay? So again, low impact because you're not getting that pounding effect. Low impact aerobics. So there are classes that you can take at various gyms that are aerobic classes, but again, don't involve any jumping or heavy lifting or anything like that. So they would be considered low impact aerobics. So again, gonna get your heart rate up, gonna give you a good workout, but save your joints, save your feet. And then swimming or water aerobics is another great one because anything you do in water automatically unweights you slightly. You have the buoyancy effect of water. So if your weight is 130 pounds, once you go in water, your weight isn't 130 pounds anymore. I mean, it still is, but the water is giving you a little bit of buoyancy, so it's not a measurable 130 pounds down on your feet. So strength training. So like we said before, typically lifting very heavy isn't advocated. Light weights are fine. This can be via machines or free weights. Again, you can use a weight. Obviously, you want to challenge yourself because you want to always challenge yourself a little bit in your working out. That's how your body is going to get stronger and fitter. But use judgment. Because again, the other thing with a heavy weight is if it slips out of your hand and hits your foot, it's a heavy weight on your foot. So use judgment. Resistive bands are a great tool because when you use a resistive band, you are getting resistance. Obviously, it's a resistive band, but you can move through some typically bigger ranges. And then obviously, if you're using a band for, say, an arm exercise and you've stretched it out to here, now you're getting a little bit of resistance on your motion back and you can control it going back. So you're getting a workout on the up and you're getting a workout on the down, okay? And again, obviously, that's not a huge heavyweight. Bands typically, you have different levels of bands. You can get a very light band up to a very heavy band, but then again, it also depends on how hard you pull it. So you are controlling the resistance a little bit more. And then exercises that use your own body weight to work your muscles are typically very good exercises because you are used to moving your body weight. And they're quite safe as well for that same reason. So some examples of exercises that you can do in that category are things like push-ups, sit-ups, squats, lunges, wall sits, planks. We're going to do a little demonstration at the end, so we'll illustrate a couple of those if someone's not familiar with a couple of those terms that I just said. Okay. So, precautions. So, blood glucose levels should always be monitored with exercise, before and after. So, if your blood sugar is a little bit low when you've monitored it, when you check it before you exercise, the exercise is going to decrease it a little bit more because exercise makes your body a little bit more sensitive to insulin. So if it was already low to start with, it might be a good idea to have a little bit of a healthy carbohydrate snack before you do your exercise. And then again, if it's high, you might need to use your insulin or whatever you're using to control your blood sugars. And then again, it should be monitored after because you want to make sure that you recover as well from the activity that you've done. And then when it comes to neuropathy, check your feet, okay? As I said, if you typically do low impact exercises, the likelihood of you developing an ulcer is small, but there is always a risk because you can develop an ulcer just regular walking. It really depends on how insensate your feet are and how much damage has already been done before going into any type of exercise program. So definitely foot checks. All right. So I put this, well, everyone has the handouts already, so this slide is in your handout. We're not going to go through everything, and I just want to demonstrate a few things so that if you do go home and you do want to try this program, you have a vague idea at least. Hopefully you remember some of it. And also, Google is your friend. You know, if you forget what something is, you can search it and there should be pictures, possibly even videos. So a good exercise program, usually you have a short warm-up, okay, get yourself prepped for your main activity, and then you do your activity, and then you want to cool down because you also want to bring yourself back to your baseline, okay, because those quick changes are harder on the heart and the lungs and your joints actually than, you know, warming up and then slowly backing off. So in this program, we don't have a true cardio part of it. It's really a warm-up, strength training, and a cool down. So jumping jacks are on there. So everyone's familiar with a jumping jack, right? Okay, a jumping jack is not low impact. A low impact jumping jack is one side at a time. So instead of doing a full jump where you're bringing the arms up, opening the legs, and coming up into the air and landing, it's one-sided. So it would be something like this. So it's like a, I guess you could call it a half jack, okay? Because you're not moving both arms or both legs at the same time. So that would be a low impact jumping jack. A breathing squat is a squat that has a big breath with it and you swing your arms. That's a great way to warm up your whole body because your legs are involved, your core is involved, and the arms are involved as well. So a breathing squat would be that you start with your hands high, okay? Take a deep breath in, and then on your exhale, you bend down, swing the arms, and you start over, okay? So everything I own was involved right there. Deep breath in, flop down, and start over, okay? So that's a breathing squat. A plank walkout, well, I guess I'll do it for you. So a plank walkout would be, I'm sorry, I'm going to put my backside to you, but this is where the space is. So you would come down, so nice and slow, so you're bending, just one vertebrae at a time in the back. Obviously, if you have everything here, use judgment, okay? If you have a back problem, I probably wouldn't advise that one. But again, it's another good exercise to warm up your whole body instead of having to isolate and warm up legs, warm up middle, warm up arms. So you would roll down, okay? And then when your hands hit the ground, or you may have to bend your knees to get your hands to the ground depending on your flexibility, but you're here, then you would walk out, okay? You end up at a plank, that tabletop position, and then you walk your hands back in and roll back up. So again, the whole body was involved. Legs, middle, arms. All right, so our strength training now. So 3 sets of 10 is a nice generic number to use. Obviously, that's not set in stone, okay? If 3 10s is too much, you can do 2 10s, you can do 3 5s, you can do 3 8s. Again, everything is modifiable. It's just that's a nice round number to keep in your head. So for your lower body, 3 exercises that hit majority of your joints with the least amount of effort and work are listed there. Heel raises, squats, and lunges. So a heel raise, exactly what it sounds like. You can do whatever you wish with your arms. Knees are straight, and you would just come up onto your toes and come back down, okay? So that would be getting your calf. Your quadriceps, the muscles in the front of your leg, are also activated a little bit because your knees are straight, but it is mainly a calf exercise, okay? So up and down, okay? It seems easy, but if you do enough repetitions, you will get a little bit of a burn. So a squat, I illustrated the breathing squat already, okay, with the arms. So a squat, truly isolating, making it a lower extremity exercise, would be that your feet are about shoulder width apart. And I always advocate with patients to think about sitting back, okay? Because a lot of people when they squat have a tendency to come forward, and that actually puts a lot of pressure on your knees, okay? A lot of pinpoint pressure, and then you end up with other pains that you didn't start with, okay? So if you think about sitting back, your knees have to bend because your hips are bending, and then that helps you keep your form, keeps your weight down through your heels. If you want to make sure that you have good form, you could put a chair behind you and think about sitting into your chair, but then instead of sitting, you stand back up, that helps you keep your form. Because if you were going to sit in your chair, you wouldn't go this way. Okay? So a squat is sitting back and standing back up. You feel that primarily hamstrings and glutes, but other muscles are involved as well. So that's a great lower body exercise. And then a lunge, again, think about your form, because again, we don't want that extreme flexion of the knee. So you would take a nice wide step, okay? Bend both knees, go down, and then press back straight. When you're going down, though, make sure you can see your toes. Okay, because again, we don't want to get into these positions because again, a lot of pressure on the knee. Okay, so core and back. So a plank was, I demonstrated the plank walkout earlier. Okay, that was this one where you roll down and then you end up in that tabletop position. So just the tabletop position is a plank. Okay, that seems like it should be an arm exercise, but it really is a core exercise. So you have body weight down through your arms, obviously, because you're holding yourself up. But typically with a plank, you hold the position for a little while. A count of 10 is a good place to start, and then you can progress to a count of 15, a count of 20, etc. And you will feel it here. And then a burpee is a total body exercise that typically involves a jump. Okay, but then obviously a modified burpee, you can modify a burpee a lot of different ways. So a full burpee is coming down, legs are out, okay, jump squat in, and then, oh, gonna get caught, and then here, okay? So no jump would be a great way to do it. So you could come here, walk the legs out. You could even do one leg at a time, walk them in, and stand would be one way to modify it. Or you can add in the part where you put both legs out at one time and then just stand, just no jump. Okay, so then upper body. I have triceps dips and wall push-ups. So a triceps dip would be using a chair, a bed, a bench, something that's not going to move with you to get the back of the arm. So a tricep dip would be here and dip. Okay? And then a wall push-up, need some wall space. I'll just mimic it. Okay, so if we had a wall and you were standing and arms are about shoulder width apart again, okay? You would basically be taking your chest down to the wall and then pushing away, okay? You could do a push-up obviously on your knees or on your toes as well. Any of those would be a low impact exercise because you're not getting a lot of pounding, using your body weight. Obviously the wall is the easiest, knees would be moderate, and up on your toes would be the most advanced way to do it. But that's a great exercise because again, you're getting all the joints of your upper body. You're getting shoulder, getting elbow, getting wrist, whole way up and down. And then your low impact cool down, you could repeat what you did for your warm up, that would be fine. Or just to throw in a couple other examples, I put marching in place, okay? So just marching in place, exactly what it sounds like, just to bring the heart rate down after your main workout. And then whatever muscles you used in your workout, you can give them a little stretch again to bring you back to baseline. Make sure that you're not sore so that you can do something again the next day or the day after, okay? Because sometimes when you do a new activity, soreness is associated with it, which is normal, but you can minimize the effects of soreness with stretching and good hydration as well. Because we don't want you to get so sore that you say enough with this exercise thing and then don't do it. All right, and then my statistics for the recommended amount of exercise, the 75 to 150 minutes, came from the US Department of Health and Human Statistics. Okay.